Against Palace this weekend. A lot of talk about Paul Pogba going into this tie, but didn't he get injured like a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, he got injured against Basel in the Champions League, in match day 1 of the Champions League. It was reported as a hamstring injury. Video emerged of him dancing at United's training facility, so people thought, well, if he can dance, surely he's on his way back. But today, Mourinho suggesting that his injury was, he considers him to be long-term injured, like Marcos Rojo and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, guys like that. And now certainly the talk is that we're looking at about 6 weeks out. So presumably it wasn't just a strain; it was a tear and a more serious one at this stage.
How significant is this with regards to Manchester United? Looking at them, obviously as title contenders.
Said last week, I'm repeating myself here. You know, teams get injuries. They're a big squad. They've spent millions. They've got they've got a couple of injuries at the moment, but they've got cover. And they're playing the worst team so far by a million miles in the Premier League.
No, of course. We're not talking about what's going to happen this weekend, but the fact that he could be out for 6 weeks surely makes it more of a conversation than it was when we were looking at the
last week he was out for 6 weeks.
No, we didn't. We looked at it. No. We said Crystal Palace, we said Southampton,
Last week, the reports coming out of Manchester was it was a 6-week injury.
Where did you get these reports?
So what's changed? Well, that's what
Where have you got these reports from? The Sky?
That's what they were saying last week.
This is why it's significant today that he said it's going to be long-term, isn't it?
Well, look, 6 weeks is not long-term. 6 months is long-term. You need to cope without people. That's what, Man City are going to have to cope without Aguero and Benjamin Mendy. Benjamin Mendy's long-term. Paul Pogba's got a hamstring injury, allegedly. These things take 46 weeks or thereabouts, depending on how bad the tear is.
But we saw him dancing, Craig.
I don't care if he's dancing, right? That ain't my issue.
How significant is this, Paul, going forward?
I think they've got enough to cover him. Obviously, they've not got another player of Pogba's talent, so obviously they are going to miss him. But I do think Manchester United and what Mourinho's done this season with the squad, I think that he's definitely got enough to get through. But of course, a player of his calibre is going to be missed.
You miss Paul Pogba, no question, but I think you've got a ready-made replacement in Ander Herrera, who was Manchester United's Player of the Year last season. So he slots in rather seamlessly. But still, you look at what's to come for United in the 6 weeks, I think they can cope. They will still be in touching distance at the top of the table. They will still be in the Champions League when he returns, and that's all that matters at this point.
Chelsea had started the scramble through the start of the season without Eden Hazard. City have losing the players that I mentioned, and Liverpool had issues with Coutinho with the transfer window, and he wasn't available. Then he went back and played for Brazil. This is par for the course. The only two guys that seem to be available all the time, although not recently, is Ronaldo and Messi.
Absence may be a little more extended than first thought. It casts our mind to Manchester United's midfield and how they deal with them. Champions League didn't seem to be a problem, but Ander Herrera could become a key piece in the momentum in the next few weeks.
Well, without question, Ander Herrera, who, let's remember, was Manchester United's Player of the Year last season, was Europa League Finals player of the game. But has found opportunities hard to come by this time around for a player of his quality and given his most recent accolades. But yes, now that Paul Pogba has gone down, we're still unsure exactly how long he'll be out for. Maybe United do need Herrera's qualities higher up the park. Nemanja Matic has come in and done a good job of shoring up that midfield defensively, protecting the back four, but I still feel, especially without Paul Pogba, they need that attacking influence from midfield, and maybe that comes in the form of Ander Herrera.
He is very versatile, he's said that himself. Do you see long-term, with Pogba back in the team, that Herrera complements him perhaps as much as Matic?
Not as much as Matic. I still feel that Pogba's greatest asset to Manchester United will be sitting in front of the back four, as Jose Mourinho tends to use him. But because of his passing range and his offensive abilities, I find Herrera to be more like Pogba than Nemanja Matic, who's a little bit more comfortable sitting deeper. Herrera is attack-minded. Herrera can get forward, can score goals. So I see Pogba-Herrera as being a less effective partnership than Pogba-Matic. that doesn't discount the fact that I think Herrera has a big role to play, especially with the number of games at Manchester United, number of big games at Manchester United, where I will be participating in this season.
Okay, Manchester United still off to a flyer, of course, 2 wins out of 2 in the Champions League, building momentum in the Premier League as well. Still doing without Paul Pogba, and long-term, of course, they have the options right now, but long-term, working out how best still to complement the player they believe to be one of the world's best. Into the weekend without the Rumorator, Friday edition. Shaka Hislop, Ross Dyer with you. Let's take a look, Shaka, at the top rumours in our mill so far. It is a mill, I think.
We call it a mill.
Feels like a mill. Mesut Ozil, rhymes with mill. Going to Inter Milan, perhaps?
Well, this is on the back of João Mario from Inter to Arsenal. I think it makes sense. Like for like swap. I'm not sold on Ozil as long-term at Arsenal, certainly not for the money he's been asking for. I just don't feel Arsenal can continue to carry Ozil as they have done. João Mario, for me, better fit at 24 years old. It's kind of keeping how Arsene Wenger's done business. I thought João Mario to Arsenal was a hit. As a result, that's the other side of the exact same coin.
Okay. David Silva, he's got a couple of years on his contract, at the end of which he'll be 33. Is he already thinking about his next move, even though he's running the Premier League ragged?
Exactly.
AC Milan?
I'm not sure if David Silva is thinking about his next move yet. What I am certain about is, if you're Manchester City, you aren't. David Silva continues to be a key piece in that puzzle. I don't see him going anywhere, not just yet.
Ridiculous, eh? Carlo Ancelotti, though, could he very well go and join his old team?
Yes, AC Milan are in an absolute mess. Carlo Ancelotti out of a job. Maybe the West Ham job comes open, but that's a discussion for another day. So I'll leave that as a hit for now.
Dearie me. Wouldn't it be fantastic if Ancelotti would be sacked by Bayern Munich, go to AC Milan and win the Champions League for a 4th time, for a 3rd time with them? That would certainly be interesting with the money they're spending.
We'll have him at West Ham.
Pastore, another one to Inter Milan. Too many eggs in the PSG basket?
Pastore hasn't featured a whole lot for PSG over the last couple of seasons. And given his successes in Serie A, albeit a long time ago now, I think Pastore can return to Italy. I put that down as a hit.
Yeah, he was certainly good at Palermo. Timo Werner to Barcelona. Obviously one of the hottest young strikers in Europe. Barcelona needing to rebuild. Are they prepared to make another big money offer to get a youngster in?
Barcelona do have big money to spend. I think this makes a lot of sense, especially given that Werner's natural position is on the left-hand side. I know Barca have Ousmane Dembele. I think he can play in a number of different positions. But this probably the best like-for-like position in filling in the void for Neymar. This makes sense. Whichever way, players of this quality, big clubs will always be interested in, find a way to fit him in. I'll put that down as a hit.
Okay, in the near future as well?
In the near future.
My goodness. So we've got a fair few more hits than misses. Only one miss. I'm with you on that one. But I'm not with you on Ancelotti to West Ham.
You still think, West Ham? No, I think West Ham is... Never mind.
You heard it here first, sort of. Ancelotti to West Ham. See you next time.
Hey, stop here with me for this edition of Rumorator. Shaka, let's start off with Christian Pulisic. Pretty much the flavour of the month now for Real Madrid. He's been linked with a number of other teams apart from Dortmund. Would Real Madrid be a good destination for him?
I'll be honest, I don't see this one. As much as I see Pulisic being on the right club, certainly for right now in terms of development of his career, and maybe one day he will outgrow Borussia Dortmund in search of a bigger stage at one of Europe's bigger clubs. I just don't see Real Madrid in the foreseeable future. Again, that may change sometime down the line, but as of right now, it's a miss.
Cristiano Ronaldo to leave Real Madrid. There's been some questions over his contract, even though he just signed a new one until 2021, but there still are questions over his contract and if he'll stay for the rest of his career at Real. Do you pick him to leave? Would that be a good move for him? You're going to choose miss because he's happy where he is despite
I don't even need
all
to
of
add
it.
anything to
All right, well, I just gave the analysis for that one there. You know, even with the tax issues, Shaka?
He ain't going
You don't think he'll go back to Man United?
He's not going
He did love Manchester. No tax issues there. Let's move on to Nainggolan, who's always in some sort of transfer rumour to Manchester United.
Well, understandably, he's always in some sort of transfer rumour, given how good he is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that one of Europe's bigger clubs hasn't come in. Clearly happy at Roma. At the same time, Manchester United do have money to spend. I think there is a need on that left-hand side. Daley Blind played on the left in the Champions League game out in Moscow. Nainggolan is an upgrade on almost anybody, anywhere. I'll be honest with you. I'll have him at any single club. If Manchester United get their way, then that can only be a hit.
Wow, tell us how you really feel, Shaka. Ricky Lambert, no, he does not play for ESPN FC, but he is a free agent. So, would Crystal Palace be a good move for him? Even though I don't think anyone's trying to go to Crystal Palace these days.
But at the same time, Palace needs strikers. Palace can't score. Palace can't buy a goal at the moment. Maybe they can convince Ricky Lambert to come on board, and maybe his physical presence adds something, at least gives them a different look. But no question, outside of the transfer window, which is closed, Palace's options are very limited. Lambert, a proven goal scorer and available, as he's out of contract, as you say. Palace need help. Maybe it comes in the form of Ricky Lambert. I put that as a hit.
And finally, Joao Mario at Inter Milan. We're hearing there could be a bit of a swap deal for Mesut Ozil at Arsenal.
And at only 24 years old, this makes sense. Like for like, swap positionally. As good as Mesut Ozil has been, I'm not sure that he's worth the money that he's asking for, or is even on the table, or had been on the table at one point. I put this down as a hit. I think it makes sense for player and club, both players and club.
All right, thanks so much, Shaka Hissa. We'll continue tracking all of these rumors to see if they do indeed happen or not here at ESPNFC.com.
They look forward to each week. Shaka Hislop's Power Rankings, latest edition, Shaka.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's happening?
Well, not a lot happening in the top four. PSG, despite that draw on the weekend, there was no Neymar. They responded in fine style. And now Bayern have no Ancelotti. But Napoli, top of Serie A, on the board in the Champions League. They rise 2 places. Chelsea continue to rise. Their European successes. Some performance and results in Madrid. Porto are back in as they continue to go great both domestically and in Europe. No change. Juventus, Spurs, back in their winning ways. I know it's a simply enough game in the Champions League, but they take that. There can be absolutely no complaints. Real Madrid are back in. Real Madrid were out last week.
Bayern's out.
Yep.
I think Dortmund fans might have a few complaints.
Dortmund's out?
Dortmund
I feel
fans
sorry for
would say
Dortmund. Dortmund have been great in the Bundesliga.
They're top.
Dealt 2
Sporting's
bad
out.
hands. Sporting are out.
Monaco's out.
Sporting drew on the weekend.
I'm surprised you got any left. I'll tell you what, I have seen some
Monaco
rubbish
lost.
top
Sporting
10
drew on the
in my
weekend.
time, but this one's brilliant. This one's absolutely
You finally
fantastic.
did it. You finally got his...
That's it. I'm done. No more.
Extra time, here we are. I think everyone's got that Friday feeling. Bigger loss for the squad, Aguero or Pogba? What do you reckon, Maris?
Well, as an ex-number 9, Aguero, absolutely. The way that he plays football, I think he's added something to his game this year. I think that he's working really hard for the team. He was a little bit selfish in years gone by. Not this year. I thought he'd been fantastic. Aguero for me.
I'm going to go with Aguero as well. I think United have the likes of Herrera who can fill in for Pogba. Quite clearly not as good, but Aguero is a blow in that City simply have nobody else other than Gabriel Jesus, nobody to fill that void.
It's well said, Shaq. Interesting day Shaq has had, isn't it, Shaq? You're making your debut presenting on Sports Centre. What are you doing?
Watching golf.
Why aren't you talking to us?
I was watching golf.
Why are you watching golf? You should be talking to us.
Shut up.
Let's talk about Craig some more. I don't want to talk about that.
Craig said, Shaq's debut on Sports Centre hosting. How many takes?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
And then what happened?
We had to move studios because we ran out of time. We ran out of the studio time that was booked. It was a 2-minute segment.
How long did you have the studio for?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Yeah.
It's not easy, see?
Oh, here we go.
Would you like to answer a question or would you like to watch the golf?
I'm watching the golf, sod off.
Oh dear, right. If Pep fails to win the league or Champions League, will Manchester City sack him, Gab?
I missed miss who you're talking about. Sorry.
Pep, if he fails to win the league or Champions League, will Manchester City sack him?
Oh, where do we get these questions from? Utter stupidity.
Get back to
You
your
were
golf.
watching the golf.
No, they won't. They won't, because the people who would do the sacking are the people who kind of stake the reputation on bringing him to Manchester and having it come out and be a success. And he's got a 3-year deal. I think it would take relegation, something like that,
Wow.
for Pep Guardiola to not be the manager next year, and I really don't think that's going to happen.
Speaking of relegation, after how many games do you think Crystal Palace will get relegated?
Ooh.
Can they break Derby's 32-game record?
Well, they've got to get beat at the weekend, that's a certainty.
Yeah.
And they're not going to score any goals again, so... Look, Royce took this job on, I don't know why he took it on personally. I think they're on a hide to nothing. No Benteke. I don't know what the number of games would be, Dan, but maybe it is 32. It's not looking good for them. All over the field. If you look at all over the field, they haven't got anything going on.
No, Benteke's out as well, isn't he?
Yep.
Finally, anyone on the panel picking up FIFA 18 today? Of course, it drops today.
I sent an email out to try to get a copy.
Couldn't you just purchase
So
a
who?
copy?
No.
Why
Who'd you
not?
send the email out to?
To the guy down in
down
the
there.
video game section.
Video game section? How old are you?
Do you play FIFA 18, Maris?
No, I do not.
Oh, it's a surprise. ESPN FC back on Sunday. You can join us. Vinny